Hey, I'm Adam Cook. Welcome to the Bite Britain podcast, a show dedicated to interviewing the most successful restaurant owners in the UK, learning about what goes into their incredible menus, but more importantly, what it takes to run the successful restaurant in this day and age. The Big Boys Burger Co. is one of the most famous burger spots in Kent. With a passion for burgers and a drive to use only the best ingredients possible, the founders, Gareth and Guy, have created nothing less than a Kent institution. Set up just over 5 years ago, the Big Boys Burgers focuses on providing diners with an exciting menu crafted from local ingredients in a casual but buzzy environment. Their reputation to deliver both exceptional food and service consistently stands out wherever you look online. Today I'm joined by one half of the Big Boys, Guy, Meurice. So we're just going to start. I just want to talk a little bit more about your background and kind of what led you to this point of, being, founder of Big Boys and 5 years running successfully.
So honestly, my role as restaurateur is complete accident. Nothing, not in any way part of my life plan. 5 years ago, even,
Wow.
So basically, I've always been into burgers for a long time. Everyone likes burgers. You can't not like burgers. They're great.
That's true.
And so I was making burgers, for friends' barbecues and stuff like that. And then
it was always a hobby of yours, cooking and a passion.
Nice to do, when you find something you can make and bring to a barbecue and burn on a barbecue, it's lovely. And the real kind of starting point for us was my wedding. So in 2013, I got married to my wife Hannah, and we asked Gaz to do the food. It was a real budget wedding, like no money, so just like everything was hardcore, cut to the bone budget. And Gaz was like, "Yeah, I could do that." So he took a few days off work. We borrowed a few half-barrel barbecues, and he spent a couple of days prepping the food and all that kind of stuff, and called in a few favors and got some nice bits and everything. And he made these incredible sausages, which different story. But it was the burgers, and I kept saying, these burgers are as good as I've had anywhere. They just cooked on a barbecue. I only got one because it was my wedding, and he's very chatting to me. We get the food, and I was like, "Don't worry, there's going to be some. I can have them tomorrow," because we had a big fridge fan that was everything stored in, and that broke. So I didn't even get one the next day. It was terrible. But yeah, the burgers were phenomenal, and they were just cooked on a barbecue. They weren't. It wasn't some fantastic kitchen they had access to. It was just him, a friend, a few bags of coals, and they just tried to keep it going for as long as they could all day. And after that, I was like, they're great, and you could do this. Like, you could start your own place up and do it. It's fantastic. And I kept mentioning it. And he was working in fine dining at the time. That's his kind of background. He's really the guy you want to be talking to. Unfortunately, you're stuck with me, but
I mean, this show, as much as it's about the food, it's very much about what actually goes into, running a business like this. So I don't doubt that you've got, a wealth of experience that you can share. So
a little bit, yeah. Yeah. So he's always been the chef. Like, he was. My experience in the catering industry is working in a pub when I was at university, and I didn't do that well. Like, I didn't take it seriously, because it was just a job in a pub. And
it's very different when you're when you're just doing something like that to earn a few bucks at university, versus running your own actual business.
Oh yeah, completely different game. But so he had the experience, he had the knowledge, and he was working in fine dining. He was a head chef at. He's been a head chef in a few local places around here, and he's worked with some of the.
Just so we're clear on your relationship with Gareth, who's obviously the other founder of the business. So do you go back a long way?
He's my brother.
Yeah.
So technically he's my cousin.
Right. Okay.
But his mother died when I was about 4 or 5.
Right.
And he and his sister moved in with us, and I mean, he's my brother as far as.
Yeah, right. Okay. I didn't realise that. Okay. So I thought,
it's the different surname. Yeah. No. Yeah, he's my brother.
Oh, right, amazing.
So, and then he's my older brother. He's my oldest sibling. There's a fair few of us, but so yeah, he's a fair bit older than me. He's a few years. So I'm the second youngest. He's the eldest. So basically, yeah, I kept going on him like, you should do your own thing. You should do burgers, and he was doing fine dining. He wasn't interested in doing just burgers.
I suppose that's quite a switch as well, isn't it? To sort of think, well, I'm doing fine dining. Can I make the switch?
Yeah, and I suppose there's a pride in there because fine dining is like top level of catering. That's I'm up there with the big boys kind of thing.
It almost feels like if you're doing fine dining, you're like at the professional level almost.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily true, I guess. But
yeah, and I mean, burgers is kind of the kind of thing I was doing just at friends' barbecues. So it is definitely a more accessible level of catering. And I don't know what his opinion was on it. I don't know if he felt. I've actually asked him if he felt that it would have been a step down or anything like that. I have no idea. But I think the main thing that I wanted for him was for him to be working for himself, because I could see that he was just working. Like, I mean, the last job he was doing 7 in the morning till 11 or 12 at night. And that would be a good day, coming home and just doing the same again 7 days a week, just constant, and it was, I mean, his hours were so mad that he had a house, but he lived with my mum because there's just no point in living in his own house, because he just, there was no one around. He was never around. The house was empty unless he was sleeping there. So he just never bothered. I mean, that's no life. And I was a web developer. So I was sat in an office, just
same sort of feeling in a different environment, I guess.
Tapping away at my laptop, just making websites. It was a completely different game, 9 to 5, if they're lucky, knock off early when I can. And I was like, you're working too hard for just for someone else. Like, why are you doing it? And that was my opinion constantly. And then he started working these crazy hours, and then you could tell he wasn't enjoying it so much anymore. And so I was like, look, those burgers were amazing. I've always been into classic cars, and I'm quite handy. I weld and make things, that kind of stuff. And I was like, look, we'll find a really cool old van, like an American Ford Econoline or an H van. This is before H vans took off. And I was like, there's this really great Citroen van you can get, and not a lot of people know about them. They're this H van, big box, and corrugated side, look really cool. And like 3 years later, you couldn't buy one. Everyone was doing it. Because they're perfect for it. Low floor, high ceiling, all that stuff. And
classic kind of stand up.
They're dead on for it.
Yeah.
And we even thought about maybe getting a one of the big streamliner, aluminium, big, huge, shiny thing. Really cool. And we looked into it. He was like, yeah, maybe. And I was just a web developer, so I just sat there, like, on forums, looking up what you could do, how you could do it, just spend my time Googling stuff. And I realized there was just no chance at all, because, the equipment that you need is for a food truck is expensive, and there's no, well, then there wasn't any buying it secondhand, it's all good quality, top quality gas appliances and this kind of stuff.
And then it's all, of course, it's not only getting the equipment and you've got to fit it and all that stuff.
Yeah, well, right? Yeah. So my plan was
all be designed so specifically, I guess, in a van. It's a very small space that you're playing with, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I thought, no, that'd be a great project. I'll enjoy that. I like the idea of finding clever solutions to space issues and that kind of stuff. So that was right on my street. But yeah, you got to have the van before you get the pitch, and so you're going to be dropping like 40 or 50 grand on a van with all the equipment, and then you've got to start asking the council nicely if you can get a spot to trade, and
it's a scary thought, really, isn't it?
It's crazy. And I don't know what it's like anywhere else, but I know where we are, like those pitches, the good pitches, they don't come up, they get passed between people privately, probably a bit dodgy.
Well, I think, the competition now especially is very, very fierce for vendors and stuff like that now. I mean, it wasn't so much, even going back sort of 5 years ago, it wasn't anywhere near as fierce, but I know now a lot of the big markets, big things like that, they've got waiting lists as long as you are.
I mean, that's the thing. Back then, even now, where we are, there aren't any markets. There's no Spitalfields market. There's none of that.
No.
A place you can go and get some nice food. That doesn't we don't have that around here, unfortunately. It'd be nice if we did. But the pictures are kind of, that was a no-go. Yeah, it was a no-go. And I had helped him out with because part of my web development, I was doing design work as well. And I helped him out with a website for a pop-up that he did. It was on a miniature railway. And so the idea was you catch the train, you'd ride the train all the way down to the end of the line, and we called it the end of the line, which was great. And it was a fine dining pop-up, and he did it with a co-worker of his.
So this was at a station?
Yeah, it was a pop-up in the little kind of cafe at the station. It was proper, it was really proper stuff, and we'd like corralled all our friends and sisters and all that kind of stuff to serve all the tables and this kind of stuff, and so I'd helped him with that, and I was like, well, we'll just do another pop-up, we'll just do burgers. We've done it before. We did your fine dining one. It was great. It went well. People enjoyed it. We could do a pop-up. And so that idea then came about, and he was like, oh yeah, we could do that. And I mean, he's quite a quiet guy. He's like, it's hard to discern what he's thinking because he won't say. He'll just sit there. And so I was like, he's not keen. Fine. I suggested a van. That'd be cool for me to build because, I like doing that. Suggested a pop-up. I know we can achieve it. But the plan, as far as I was concerned, wasn't really going anywhere. And then one day I was up at my mum's house, and he came home and he was like, quit my job.
Oh, right. Wow.
I was like, cool, great, because you're working too hard there. Where are you going to go next? And he was like, well, I thought we'd do that burger thing. And I was like, okay. And suddenly I was on the hook. I was like, I've got to help Gaz with the pop-up.
So now you've got to put your money where your mouth is, basically.
Well, I mean, at that point, I wasn't really thinking it was going to be my thing. I'm a web developer. I make websites. I sit in a nice office, warm and comfortable. And I sound bitter about that because I am. Like, office jobs are really comfortable.
They are. I think they cause a lot of pain for a lot of people as well. I think there's a lot of people out there that are stuck in these kind of office jobs that just want a way out as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm glad I'm not in it. I left that.
I do know what you're saying. When it's freezing cold on a February morning, all you've got to do is sit in your little office with a cup of tea, and you're looking at everyone outside, doing the hard stuff.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, better than that, when you're a web developer, you can work remotely, which means you can work in your pants. Like you don't have to get dressed to go and earn money, which is just so far away from what I'm doing now. But they really don't like it when you're wearing your pants serving burgers. It just doesn't. I've tried it; doesn't go down well at all. But basically, I was like, okay, Gaz wants to do his pop up, and in my mind, it was all his. And to be honest, it stayed his until we went down to the accountants to register as a business, and he was like, so half of it's yours, half of it's Gareth's. And I was like, well, I suppose it would be, because I've done half of it. But at that point I was like, oh, of course, right, yeah. Like at that point I was like, now I'm in, like kind of now I'm really in. Because I was doing it. I started doing this like because I saw Gaz just working too hard, and our mum, my mum, his mum, their parents, they all were antique dealers. My mum's a jeweler, antique dealer, and they've all worked for themselves. Like that's not a job you do for other people. And so we grew up around the shops,
that entrepreneurial
shop and that kind of stuff. And so working for yourself isn't, I think, as daunting for us as it would be most other people. It's a big step, but for me it seemed like a natural thing, like open your own restaurant, do it yourself. Why would you not do that? I now understand it's extremely hard and that there's a lot of risk involved, and it's a tough thing to do. But back then I was like, why would you not? It's the next progression from being a head chef to just owning it. So we were like, let's do it. I whipped up a logo. In fact, I've got it here, the logo. I'm doing some screen printing because we haven't found a reliable screen printing thing. So there you go. Whipped up the logo in my lunch break at work. nice and simple, using the font I was using at work at the time, just because it seemed to fit. I didn't have any real like long-term plan. I didn't realize that was going to be the logo kind of for good.
The logo.
Yeah, because it's hard to change. Like when you've done that, you can't just switch it that easily. Plus, we like it. It's good. So I whipped up a logo. I put together a quick Facebook page, Instagram, that kind of stuff. Just in my lunch, I was like, right, I'm calling it that. Text Gaz, check the name, and he was like, yeah, that's good. So got the URLs, got the social media. So it was all as similar as it could be, because big boys is quite a common phrase.
I guess so, yeah.
And there's actually a big boy burgers in America. It's the Lard Lad Donuts from The Simpsons.
Yeah, I think there's loads. There's just there's a something everything burger in America.
Yeah, yeah. But so I mean, we got all that stuff sorted out and all aligned, and then I was like, have you got a menu thought out? And Gaz had been working on one, so I whipped up a menu design, and
because that's something that does strike me, or certainly struck me when I was, looking over your website. It's like your menu design, and I assume that's the same design as the one that's actually in the restaurant.
No, mine. So that was a big step. Like,
that looks really cool on the website.
Yeah, it's awesome, isn't it? That's a local guy called Elliot. He did the design for us. He's actually a teacher, an art teacher at a local school, and he loves the burgers, and he kept kind of doodling burgers. He'd come by and he'd be like, oh, they're really good burgers. And he'd go home and he'd like draw some burgers. And then he was working with a chap called Sam. They run this, Sam runs this little it's a design studio essentially, but they solely outsource to local designers who kind of work in their spare time or are kind of just starting out. It's really interesting because he gets he's got a huge array of styles that he can tap into. So it's quite cool. And they came to us with actually a burger design that Elliot had done and said, this is right up your street. Do you want it? And it's kind of like one of those isometric kind of angular designs that are popular at the moment, kind of thing. And it looked really cool. We liked it. We're like, we'd use that as a logo. We've got ours, but that's quite cool. Put that on t-shirts. So can you chuck a little flag in the top with Big Boys written on it? And we're done. And they had a hot dog as well. They were like, we'll chuck this in as well. And so we bought that off them, agreed that we could use it as a logo if we wanted to, sell t-shirts with it on, all that kind of stuff, as well as the original print. Because the initial thing was like, do you like this print?
Yeah.
Painting we've done essentially. So as well as that, we're like, we like it. We want to use it going forward. And we organised all of that. And then naturally, it was when we wanted to, basically menu design is really hard. It is tough stuff. And trying to put the amount of information you need onto, 2 or 3 sheets basically. I've got to fit so much information on that. And it was getting more and more difficult. And I just kept trying, and every time I redo the menu, it would take me like 6 months. I did it like 3 times, and it would take me 6 months to come up with the new layout that was different and interesting, and it never really worked. And
I mean, there's so many balances, isn't there, when you design the menu. Obviously, it's the actual what you're actually offering, but then like the design and making it look not complicated.
Yeah.
At the same time as wanting to offer, enough selection, but then not too much that's confusing, and there's just so much balance and different things to consider, isn't there?
Oh, it's mad, and trying to make it so you can't, you're not confusing people, like you're not hiding information from them. So people want to know what's in the burger. They don't want to just know what does the fat.
Now, isn't it? I mean, that's a big trend. One of the big trends now is people are just so much more interested in where their foods actually come from. There's so much more questions that are asked around that. Again, something that struck me with you guys. You've got local beef and local ingredients. I mean, how important do you find that now as a factor in people's opinions?
Well, I mean, people love hearing about where the beef comes from. They just love it. It's always been relatively local. It's always been from within the kind of south of England, but now we've managed to nail down a specific. We had a farm. We were buying it through a local butcher's, and they were providing us with beef from one farm, which was relatively local. But well, to be honest, when Brexit happened, the day after the vote, we got a call saying the price was going up quite a lot, and I was like, I mean, fairly certain grass didn't start costing 20%. Like, I'm not sure that's really legit. And it just kind of spurred us to shop around, and we found someone else that was supplying, again, from a slightly wider area, but for a better price. And it was still in the south of England, still within like Kent, Sussex, East Sussex, that kind of thing. But we weren't really happy with that. That was definitely a step in the wrong direction for us in terms of where we wanted to be going. Like, we liked the fact that we could point to the farm on a map, like that's where that came from.
Yeah, I think that's an amazing thing. I think it is so important nowadays, and that people are, more concerned, and rightly so, that their food's coming from local. And
it's definitely. Yeah. I mean, that means a lot to me.
And all that kind of stuff as well,
Yeah, it means a lot to me as the person that is, I mean, I would be a vegetarian if it weren't for the fact that it just tastes too good. That's always been my issue. I've tried it.
You probably share that opinion with quite a lot of people, to be honest.
Yeah, the taste is great, and I understand, particularly beef. Beef is terrible for the environment. Like, it's awful. The amount of like the carbon footprint of beef is just mad. And so getting it from, I mean, you can get an Argentinian steak. That's a thing people buy. That comes from Argentina. That's had to travel all that way,
I mean, I think that's the thing. You can buy beef that's factory farmed in the US, all of that rubbish that goes into the environment there, then shipped over here, and then eaten here, versus someone who's got some cows out in a nice field eating grass, doing what they should do naturally. I think that's going to be a huge difference.
And it really is, like the taste, the flavour of because we started getting it from this place near us, 12 miles away, called Homestead Farm, and it's like all natural, like all grass fed. They're Shetland cattle. They're they don't kind of intensely farm. They stay on the farm for a good number of years.
Yeah, sure.
It's healthy. It's good for the environment. It's good for it's good for the local wildlife. It's all done so well. I mean, that type of farming, it can actually be a carbon sink.
I know. I've actually, this is a particular subject, this kind of stuff that's definitely interests me, and I've done some reading myself on it. Yeah, and there is, you can have what they call regenerative farming.
Yeah.
Where they move different things around and stuff like that, and the cows go on one bit, and they move the cows, and the chickens come in, and it kind of just, and it actually is one of the, I think, food production systems that actually would have a carbon sink, and it makes sense, right? Because it's actually in line with the environment. The animals are doing their bit. You've got the plants and the bugs doing a bit, and it's all kind of works with nature, which is kind of what we've gone away from.
Definitely so far away from it. You got slash and burn of the Amazon. They just ripping apart the rainforest just to grow more beef and palm oil and all this kind of stuff. And it's just this stuff comes from down the road. I can almost stand and look at the cliff that it came from nearby.
That's incredible.
It's lovely, and the taste, like, you can tell it in the flavour. You can tell that this beef is the best quality, and and that's fantastic. And I actually need to so another thing we do is we plant trees to offset our carbon footprint.
Wow. Okay.
Which we don't really shout about, and
I was going to say I did a lot of research leading up to this show, and I did not know that.
So I mean, when we spoke a few last week before the show, I was saying Gaz and I are really bad at advertising ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's something that we're bad at talking about. It's this basically something I wanted to do. I was like, look, we could plant trees to offset. I know that it's a simple. I can work out the average, because I didn't know what the carbon footprint of our beef was, because it wasn't always coming from the same place. It was coming from roughly the same area. So I could make a rough estimate. But also I didn't know necessarily how each farm was farming it, so you can't tell if they're really taking care of the environment. you just don't have a clue really. I mean, in this country, beef tends to be farmed largely responsibly. You don't have the kind of industrial complexes they have in America, which is just awful for the environment. You know, it's just terrible. And luckily in this country, we don't have that at the moment. You know, it's not something people are doing. And don't move for that. I know there were talks of people trying to set something like that up a couple of years ago, and from what I understood, that hadn't gone anywhere. But
I think as well, I think we benefit from having really good grasslands as well here in the UK. So it makes it, you know, financially, luckily, I think that's the reason, because it's always the money, right? Financially, actually,
it's definitely, it's all down to
mostly grass-fed operations. So
yeah, which is great. You know, it's great for us. It's great for the environment, and yeah, it's to be honest, it's great for the cows and great for the beef they make. It's just
yeah.
So I mean, I worked out a rough estimate. I worked out how many trees that we'd need to plant to offset that through the lifespan of the tree from the rough carbon footprint of a cow in its per kilo. I worked it out, and then I worked it out per burger. And I hugely overestimated the amount of carbon. I've come to understand that the averages I was working to were a lot higher. So we've been overplanting trees, which is obviously a good place to be in. You know,
that's not a bad one. Yeah.
Not resenting that, but that is a fact. And so I'm going to be able to, you know, now we've moved to Homestead Farm, and they're providing us with the beef. We're going to be able to work out an accurate kind of cost to the environment, and I suspect it will be quite low. I suspect we'll be kind of planting a lot less trees. But I don't know if we will, because I like the fact that we do that. That's a really cool thing. We've got a load that we're going to be planting near where I live in Canterbury at the start of next year, which kind of keeps us going.
So are you actually planting these trees? I mean, how does it work? Is it some kind of thing that you sign up to have trees planted that you?
Yeah, basically there are companies that exist where their job is to plant trees. You pay them for trees.
Essentially as a company, you would just pay this company X amount.
Yeah, I buy trees. Some do plant them. I trust that the system works and that the trees are planted when I pay for them. You know, I haven't seen any trees. I can select the county they're planted in, which is, you know, I select Kent. Okay. That's where most of the beef comes from. But where we're getting some nearby in Canterbury, it's my old school, and I heard through their Facebook page that they were looking to plant some trees, and would anyone be willing to donate money? And I was like, well, how many trees are we looking at, and how much? Because I'll pay for the lot, because I know it's going to keep me going for trees for a while, and I can come down and plant them myself. You know, I can come down and I can take some photos, you know, wear my big boys outfit, hat, you know, hoodie, red trousers, big boys printed all over them. You know, I can get all branded up and do it. But really, actually, I like the idea of being able to go down and be like, I planted those trees, and that's. Yeah. To be honest, I do it for me. That's why we haven't reached out.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds amazing.
It's something that I like the idea of, and something we can do.
So I want to just rewind a little bit, because we went off an amazing tangent there. But I want to go back to when we was talking about, you had your meeting with your accountant. Okay, and the journey from then to opening the first restaurant, and what that first opening was actually like.
Okay.
Anything like that, if there's, you know.
Yeah. So the meeting with the accountant was it was early November, late October 2014, and prior to that, we had done the pop-up for the summer. So we went to a local cafe and said, look, you're closed in the evenings. Friday and Saturday nights, can we come in at around 6? Open a burger joint, use your kitchen. We'll employ a member of your staff so that they know we're not like just coming in and having a rave or something. They know that it's all cool and above board. And we'll pay you an amount of rent.
So this wasn't something that was offered necessarily. You just approached them.
Yeah, we approached them. So it's a little place in Hythe near Folkestone, which is where we're from. And our mum has her shop in the high street, and so she knew a lady that ran the cafe, Nikki. It's called the Nutmeg, and she suggested, why don't you ask Nikki if you can? Because my mum went there for coffee, to meet friends and this kind of stuff. You know, right. We went there all the time. We knew Nikki kind of through. We were always in our cafe kind of thing. And
so you already had a relationship. guess.
Of sorts, yeah. I mean, I have to say the vast majority was the fact that my mum was in there a lot and had a shop on the high street. You know, like
Sure, yeah.
I was having this conversation with friends the other day. One of the big things and one of the big investments in big boys starting out, you know, there's a lot of hurdles you face when you're starting a business, and like actually one of the big ones was my mum knowing this lady, like having been to the cafe enough and having a shop on the high street gave her enough credibility to be like, hey, my sons are thinking of this thing, like could you help? And that's what got us in the door. Like that's what got us sat down for a meeting with her. And you know, that's, you can't put a monetary value on that, but that's a pretty big thing. And
I think that's a really important thing, and it's about, you know, that's an important lesson for anyone out there listening that is considering starting a food business. I think, you know, those kind of pop-up opportunities, if you can find them, create them, that is a brilliant way, firstly, to test an idea out, because it's going to be low cost. You've got someone else's equipment you can use. You're obviously going to pay a bit of a fee on the rent and stuff, but you've got an opportunity there, you know, with the benefits of nowadays things like social media to spread the word and all that kind of stuff. You know, you can try these ideas out, and you know, years ago that wasn't really a thing, was it?
No, you know, and the phrase pop up, you know, that's a thing now. That's a, you know, that's a thing. That 15 years ago, a what?
Yeah.
Like, what about like pop up? Either you do
So
it.
I guess doing that, and you know, I'm assuming, maybe I'm jumping the gun, but I'm assuming it was a success.
Yeah, well, I mean, so in terms of the setup, basically we paid her a rent. What was, again, with the luck, you know, if she hadn't known us, she may have said, yeah, you can do it, but I want the rent up front, you know, which, all right, fine, that's fair, that makes sense. But because she knows, we paid it in arrears. I went in on Monday, gave her the cash, and you know, like that meant that I could earn the money before paying the rent, which saved us an extra investment. In terms of the equipment, they didn't have, and you know, I don't know, I've not been in the kitchen for years, but I assume still don't have fryer or a griddle. They do very different food to that. So we had to buy a fryer and a griddle. So yeah, gummy and all this kind of stuff. And the initial investment, we bought those little plastic hot dog trays that that people hated them. They hated them so much. Like all the sauce would get stuck on the bottom, and they'd go at it with a knife and fork, and they'd rip all the paper apart. And we were like, "You're supposed to eat your hands. What are you doing?" But anyway,
like little baskets, do you mean?
Yeah, the little plastic kind of things. You put your paper in them.
They look cool, but
yeah, they were great and cheap as well. Easy to clean, cheap. All they had there was a glass washer, so we couldn't put a lot of stuff through it. So the paper stopped the hot dog trays from the little baskets from getting particularly dirty. And for fries, we used aluminium takeaway tins because we just couldn't wash that amount of stuff up. Like, so a lot of decisions were made kind of very utilitarian. But the equipment went and bought, and I'd say the original investment was about £400, which we both did on a single paycheck between the two of us. So like, you know, Gaz put some of his money and I put some of mine, and it was just money that we could afford.
As I say, I think a great way to test an idea. You know, really.
It's fantastic. And basically, what happened is my wife and I did front of house. My brother-in-law helped Gaz in the kitchen while he was off from university, and we paid him. We paid him our tips. So my wife and I just did it because it was what we were doing. I don't know what we're like that. It was, we just did it because it had to be done. Gaz got enough money to pay the rent he needed to pay, but no more. And Tom, my brother-in-law, he got our tips. So we split the tips by everyone that worked, and Tom got anything that was from me, Hannah, or Gaz, and that was his pay kind of thing. And then he was doing it as a favour, and we bought him a very nice Christmas present that year. But all the rest of the money got just stashed, got put to one side, kept, and saved. And we didn't really know what for. We didn't know why, but our history of seeing small businesses is, you got to have some money kept aside. Things happen, you need money. And what if this becomes something? Are we saving for a food van? Are we saving for rent? For a place? I just don't know.
At that point, but you just knew there was something.
Yeah, there was a plan. but there wasn't a plan. There was a vague idea. There was a vague idea of a future. Yeah, and so then one day we were, again, weird story. We were digging on a beach for gold in Folkestone. There's a thing called the
Train. We won't go off of that tangent just yet, but sounds interesting.
Yeah, but that's another story for another day. So we're digging on the beach for gold, and we met a chap from the Creative Foundation in Folkestone called Adrian. And again, it's one of those things with the relationship. So my mum employed this girl called Annika for years, and she had then gone on to work for the Creative Foundation. So she came over to us and was like, "Oh, you're doing the pop-up. Yeah, it's great. I told Adrian about this. Mm-hmm. In fact, here's Adrian." Grabbed in. He's on the beach as well. Lots of people there. And he was like, "Yeah, this is Guy and Gaz. They're doing this pop-up in Hythe. I told you about it." He was like, "Oh yeah, that's great. That sounds good." We're like, "Come down. We'll treat you to some food. Come down on us. Try it out. And if you like it, maybe we can work on doing a pop-up in Folkestone." Which for us, we're coming to the end of the summer. It's a population centre larger than Hythe. It's got a busier nightlife, and we're thinking, coming out of the summer in Hythe, we're going to need more people living nearby to keep this going. And it would be nice to see if it works in another area where we're not from there. Like, it kind of felt at times like it was our friends and family that were coming down for food. It's some new thing that we're doing, but it's like at some point I've got to run a business, not just selling burgers to my friends,
Yeah.
And so we thought we'd give it a try, and he was keen. He came down. He actually came down for his first date with his now wife, which was great. Nice to be a part of their story as well. But he loved it, and he was like, "Yeah, there's actually a really cool place on the old high street that we might be able to get you into. We'll set up a meeting between you and the tenant there, because the Creative Foundation have this whole street of properties that they maintain, and they try and start new businesses. So like, we are 100% like their prime kind of candidate in terms of new business, local, different. So they would obviously have been keen, regardless of whether or not he liked the food.
And the Creative Foundation, again, I think this is a great interesting. This is specifically in Folkestone.
Oh yeah, so it's started by Roger DeHaan, who used to own Saga, sold it for something like $4.5 billion. I don't know the exact number, but a lot of money. And he's basically been trying to regenerate Folkestone through creative works. And part of it is this street, the Creative Quarter. It's on the old high street, and he's taken as many of the properties as he can. Like, he either owns them or rents them on long-term leases, and they completely redevelop them into
amazing
kinds of different businesses.
So anyone with a business who's looking to start a business in Folkestone, that may worth be a very good thing to look into then.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, if you have an idea, they're the people to go to, and it's great. And and since we've been there, like, he's done the Harbour Arm, he's done all this stuff. Like, they have the so the Harbour Arm was where the cruise ships came in, and there was a railway line going down to it. And the cruise ships, they left. They didn't, they didn't come back. The whole place went derelict. The train line got closed. It was all just traditional, like, proper seaside town, derelict. No one wants to be here anyway. It was that kind of thing, like the old story. And he bought the whole lot. They've turned the train track into a walkway. This fantastic park. You can walk across a bridge, across the harbour, down into the old station. You can walk along the platforms or the railway lines where they used to be, and in the old signal box there's a little micro bar and all this kind of
wow, amazing. So basically, the opportunity for this came through the Creative Foundation. Then that this was your second pop-up, right? That you then.
Well, so we were due to have a meeting with this chap, and the day before, 2 days before, we got a phone call from Adrian saying he's closed. He doesn't want to do it anymore. He's for whatever reason. Do you want the whole property?
Oh.
and we were like, maybe let's come down and have a look, have a chat. And basically, part of the Creative Foundation thing is cheap rent to help businesses out.
So hang on. So you went from planning a pop up for what, a night?
Yeah. This is where it went wrong. This is where it went wrong.
Restaurant, basically.
We were like, hey, let's try this out, and suddenly we were running a restaurant like full time. And that was it. You know, and so the money we'd saved from the pop-up went into buying contents from the previous tenant and first month's rent, and, you know, making changes. I mean, I'm planning a refit of the front of the house in January, which will be the first thing we've done since we opened. But when we were opening, it was 2 weeks of me and Gaz and anyone I could collar for help, just doing up the interior, the bar, the counter. They had this crazy deep counter which was taking up far too much room. You know, you could fit 3 extra tables in, you could fit an extra 12 covers easy if you made that counter thinner. So out came the disc saw, cut the counter up, whacked it back together. We didn't have any idea of how we were going to decorate the place, and then we had a surveyor come around and do a quick kind of check of the place, and part of that was like a fire safety assessment. He was like, you need to move the pallets that are stacked up out the back. Those have got to go. They are a fire hazard.
Right.
They've got to be moved. And so they became the counter, the front of the counter, part of the wall.
Improvisation.
And underneath them, we found some marble sheets, because one of the guys that used to work in there was a chocolatier. And so he had all these marble sheets. And so we're like, countertops, job done, you know, marble counter, lovely. And in fact, one of them is now in my bathroom as part of my my sink unit up there that I've built, which is lovely. But those were free, you know. So I set Gaz to work with a crowbar, ripping apart pallets. You know, like 50% of what he took apart just split. I went off to work, and then I'd come in the evening, do as much as I could, go home, go to bed, go to work, come in the evening, do as much as I could.
So the process from getting you got offered this the restaurant, you decided, right, let's jump in and do this. How long was it between, you know, agreeing to it and thinking, shit, we've got to open this place now, to actually having that opening?
About 2 weeks, I think.
Yeah. 2 weeks.
About 2 weeks. Yeah, it was insane. So we did our last night as a pop-up, and then had it might have been a 2 week break. It was a 2 week break, so it's probably about a month from the initial conversation, and then a heads up that, hey, you might be able to have the whole place, to going in, checking it out. And when I say, like, you know, oh, we went and checked out, I was like, yeah, I'll be there in 10 minutes. Like, you know, one thing that we know from our mum running a jewelry shop is, like, you know, when an opportunity comes, you got to jump on that now.
That's really important.
And so I was like, yeah, I will be there before you think of, oh wait, there's that other guy that was around. It's like, I want to be in there. I want to be first choice, even if I don't want it. You know, I want to be the person that turns it down, because you're just going to miss things otherwise. You know, and we would have done had we not jumped on it straight away. You know, because competition for that location was fierce. You know, there were established restaurants that wanted to be there. There were new people with new ideas that wanted to be there. You know, there were people, and I still speak to people today. They're like, oh, I wanted that. And then 5 years down the line, they remember that they wanted that. And so competition was fierce. You know, it's the best location on the street. It's just like, you know, it's a great place to be, and all this kind of stuff. And so we acted when we had to act and got it. And so it was probably 3 weeks from the heads up, 2 weeks from getting the keys, and then we were in.
So tell us about the opening night then. So you've had this pretty much very short build up from 1 minute thinking you was doing a pop-up to the next month pretty much opening a restaurant. Like, how did that first night go? Was it intense?
Yeah, so
quiet?
Our first day. So I'll talk about the first day. So we opened at 12. Our staff members were, because we didn't have any staff, and I was working full time. Gaz was in the kitchen. You know, like, there was no one that we could be like, hey, we're doing this, let's go do that now. Because, you know, now, like, we have staff. We'll be like, hey, by the way, this is what we're doing next week. That's your job. Let's do it together, kind of thing. We didn't have any staff, and so our manager, de facto manager, was a girl that I've known my whole life. She was the daughter of a friend of my mum, called Olivia, and she was writing her doctorate thesis and wanted something to do. And so I was like, hey, look, I'm running a restaurant. Do you want to?
I've got that for you.
And I hadn't really spoken to her a lot for a long time. And I was like, yeah, this is what we're going to be doing. And she was like, yeah, I don't really like touching food, and I'm a vegan. No, vegetarian, not vegan.
It's not the ideal fit for a
yeah. And I was like,
well, yeah, I guess.
okay. You might have to touch food. I can't guarantee you're not going to have to touch food. You know, if someone's left some food on the plate, you may have to scrape that off into a bin. You know, we'll aim to have clear plates, but I can't guarantee that. And yes, it's meat, but you know, it's not all meat. And but she was keen, and for my part, like, the kitchen is on a different floor from the front of house, so front of house is kind of left to their own devices. And starting a new restaurant, you know, we didn't know what we were doing. I say really, we just didn't. We didn't know what we were doing. We hadn't set up any form of, you know, we didn't have a safe to keep cash in. Like, we didn't have a float. We didn't have a cash up process. We didn't have a process for anything. You know, that all that stuff had to be just created. And so having someone that we could trust, you know, we could trust Olivia completely, you know, just totally. And so having her up there in charge, you know, if she did nothing else but just stood there and made sure things went right, you know, things didn't go awry, you know, it's just having someone you can trust to be honest with you. And, you know, oh, how did it go? They're not going to lie and say, oh, it was great, when actually 10 people left fuming because X, Y, and Z happened, and they don't want to own up to that. You know, having someone that's just like, this was what was wrong, and, you know, it's your fault, you know, because that's what she was like. It still is like, definitely. And so she was great. And then the other employee was the girlfriend of a friend of mine. And then me. Then while we were building it, we employed this chap called Remy, who had got a job recently. At the time, he got a job at McDonald's and just didn't like it. And so he turned up for a job, and he turned up wearing a full suit. And Gaz and I are there, like, ripping pallets apart and stuff. Gaz is wearing basketball shorts, just big baggy shorts, no top. Like, we're both hairy. Like, we're not the best to look at with tops off, neither of us. You know, we're just hairy, and we're there just like, who the fuck's at the door? Like, what is this about? We'd booked an interview with a kid for a job, and so he came in wearing a full suit. And as soon as I saw a suit, I was like, he's got the job, mate, because I just look like crap, and I can't the job. And he was a great kid. He was fantastic. So we kind of put this little group of people together. None of us knew what we were doing, really. Like, everyone, like Olivia had never worked front of house, you know. Okay. Remy had experience at McDonald's. That was that. I'd had experience mucking about in a pub. Like, it was just none of us knew what we were doing. So basically, the first day we opened up, we were all doing coffee training on the coffee machine, because there was no coffee shop nearby. So we had to provide coffee, because passing trade during the day, that was a big thing. And so we were doing coffee training. So we had a couple come in, first customers. This is great, you know. Oh, get the menu out for them, seat them at a table. They wanted to sit out the back. Like, the restaurant is in 2 sections. Right. And so there's the front section, the back section. So we're like, okay, there you go. Run the order downstairs on a ticket and put it in there. Our first customers, Gaz. First customers in our new restaurant. There you go. And about an hour later, 40 minutes later, I get a guy come out from the back of the restaurant. Where's our food? And I was like, so I kind of go downstairs. There's a dumb way to live. And I go downstairs. I'm like, where's the food? Have you not cooked it? Because there's no food cooking. I'm like, you know, maybe they had a problem with the gas, maybe the fries. I don't know, because first day, I don't know what could have gone wrong. And he's like, I sent it up in the lift. So I call the lift back down, and there are these 2 burgers, stone cold. And
no.
Oh my God, like, just stomach drops. And so I go up and I'm like, guys, I am so sorry. Like, I cannot apologize enough. Basically, you're our first customers. This is our first day. And we're just not communicating well enough. It's lunchtime. So like lunchtime, like, people need to go, you know, they need to eat and go. They don't want to be waiting around for hours. In the evening, you know, you can have someone sit there for 4 hours and just fine. Sit there, soak up the space. I love that. But lunch, like, you got to be on it. You got to go, because, you know, they've got to get back to work. And luckily, these people were just shopping. You know, they were just out shopping for the day. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I just cannot apologize enough. Like, the food is on me. Your drinks are on me. Let me get you another round of drinks. If you're happy to stay, we'll cook it up. If not, you know, I cannot apologize enough. And they were like, oh, you know, oh, fine, yeah. They weren't too happy about it, obviously. So then Gaz cooks food, comes up. This time we make sure we get the lift, you know. Yeah. Okay, take two, shake it off, gang. Like, we can do this. Take the food out, and thanks. They're still a bit pissed off at this point because, come on, an hour.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, if I'm in a burger restaurant and I've got to wait longer than about 20 minutes, then I'm sorry.
Yeah, come on, that's not much. So I bring the food out, and they're like, thanks. And I'm like, enjoy, go on. I'm really happy. I'm like, oh yeah, enjoy it, guys. Again, I apologize. I'm like, yeah, cheers. So they're enjoying their second round of drinks, and afterward, I go and check, how's everything? Yeah, it's fine, thanks. And then they come out and they want to pay, and I'm like, no, I mean it. It's all on us. And they're like, no, that was great. The food was fantastic. We want to pay. We get it's your first time, and they were lovely. They were pissed off, man. They were really annoyed. Really pissed off. They were lovely, and I was like, no, I mean what I say, like the drinks, the food is on us. That isn't how I'm going to be running this place. You're not waiting for food here. I'm not having that. Like we're not amateurs. We were amateurs. We're not amateurs. We're doing this professionally. This is what we're doing. And they were so happy with the food. They went up to the top of the hill to a local shop selling local stuff and bought us a bottle of champagne.
Oh my God! Wow!
Down as a gift. Like,
turnaround.
Yeah. Oh, that's my story that I tell new staff. Like, no one needs to leave unhappy. No matter what you do, you can turn it around. Like you can do. There is nothing that you can't turn around. Whatever you have to sort out, there is always a way of sorting it.
I mean, the thing that strikes me with your story as well is, you just went for it, and I think there's something in that, and I think there's so many people have these ideas or dreams to do things, and there's always a reason not to do it. There's always a reason. There's always, we haven't got the skills, we haven't got the experience, and we've not done this before. It might not work. This could happen, that could happen, or I don't know if it's worth the risk of like leaving this job or that job. There's always an excuse, and I think it's, what you're showing with your story there is there's never really a good time to do these things. You've just got to go in and just do it. And it's the people that take action are the only people that are ever going to succeed, with stuff like this, with these ideas and dreams, because otherwise they're never going to come into fruition, right? And
yeah, 100%. I mean, in terms of risk, like Gaz had quit his job. He'd worked hard, and then one day he was like, you know what? No, I'm not. I can't. This is too much. I quit. And he just quit. He was like handed his notice, worked his notice and stuff. He didn't walk out flipping tables over and like that. He handed his notice, left amicably and stuff. He was like, no, I can't do it anymore. And so in terms of the risk, I was like, hey, you might have to leave your job. It's like he'd already done it. That Band-Aid ripped off. That was it. But for me, I spent 3 years from the opening of the restaurant working as a web developer. So I was working full time.
You were still working? Wow, yeah.
So I was working full time, and it wasn't until I changed role, went to a new company. I worked there for a year, and basically I had a bad day. I had a really bad day, and I hadn't been enjoying it for a while, and essentially, basically I ran into the problem. 2 lots of my work had gone into a live production environment that shouldn't have got past testing. They were both broken. Okay. I was a junior developer, so I'd sent these 2 bits of work, and essentially they both come back, because the process is go back to the developer, get it fixed. But when there's 2 bits of work on a Friday night that you have to get out, and everyone's
actually your fault, basically.
Like, and there's pressure, stress, and this kind of stuff. And I went home, and I just kind of on the verge of a panic attack, talking to my wife, like it was just too much, and there was no, I say no help provided. That doesn't do the people I work with justice. There was no management help provided. I went back in, and I was like, that can't happen. That shouldn't be happening. I run my own business. Like, that's where my stress should come from. Yeah, I get there should be some stress at work, but that was way too much. I've never had stress like that running my restaurant that I started not knowing how to run. Like, that stress was too much. Like, you guys shouldn't be putting that on me. And essentially the response was, well, if you're a better developer, it wouldn't have happened. And I was like, yeah, cool. So I just kind of took that on the chin, left the meeting, phoned up my wife, and I was like, I'm quitting. Like, I'm going to call Gaz, check if that's good on him, but is that all right for you? Because we just bought a house, trying for a kid. Thing. Like, you can't just go about quitting your job like that. And she was like, that's fine, do it. Because she'd seen me, the night before, like just completely broken, like in a way she hadn't seen me before. And so I phoned Gaz, I was like, I'm quitting, I'm coming to work for the restaurant, is that all right? And he was like, yeah, do it, 100%. And what was lovely then is I'd gone into Big Boys to help Gaz, because I could see that he was doing too much work. He was doing too much work for other people, and he had then seen me go into that kind of position, go into working for other people, and working too hard for other people. So we can do this ourselves. And so so he was like, yeah, do it. Come on board, do it full time. Let's do it. And so for the last,
now both of you are full time big boys now.
Yeah,
that was it.
Which is also another thing that one thing that really helped us in the beginning, because it's that first, you got that 6 months, you got that 12 months, you got that 2 years, and it's like 6 months, 80% of restaurants fail.
There's all those scary stats.
Those have failed, and it's like you're gonna fail is the statistic. And actually, we had someone who in me who was doing the accounts, like all the bookkeeping, doing the hours, sorting out wages, doing like maintenance, because that's my thing. Like I fix things, so I'm fixing the restaurant. So I sorted out the ordering system, like put together a till system, all this kind of stuff. Because a POS system is like $5,000. For to have stuff set up properly, $5,000 easy. And we started on like 3. That was out of budget, let alone plates and chairs kind of thing.
So I mean, it sounds like you and Gareth have got a very clear responsibilities in the business as well.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because that's something that initially when you sort of said, oh yeah, actually, it's my brother is in my family, the first thing I start thinking, oh god, that must be, I've got a sister, and God forbid me starting a business with her, she won't disagree with me, no doubt.
I mean, I've got
I guess in making sure you have those very clear, this is what I'm doing, this is you're obviously the guy that's fixing everything, getting everything set up, logistical kind of side, and then you've got in the kitchen with Gareth and stuff, and he's kind of, I guess, involved in all that side of things, right? And is that kind of how you keep yourselves, having a good business relationship, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of kitchen, unless it's kind of fixing things, unless it's kind of set up, because as we want to griddle that we've got, not really big enough, at the moment we're at capacity on that. To get a bigger one, we're gonna have to shift some things around. That's my thing. Like, I know the electrical requirements of the oven, I know the gas requirements, I know where all that stuff's got to go, how you put that stuff in the walls, therefore the best way to tackle the situation. But outside of that, like, the kitchen is Gaz's domain. He's a top level fine dining chef. I'm a web developer. Why would I? There's no way that I can say, no, Gaz, no, what you want to be doing is this. That's just not like.
No, that's what I mean. I think both having your responsibilities like that, your boundaries.
Yeah.
You're working in this. You're working within this area. He's in this area. Together, you come together as a kind of I guess a perfect partnership, really.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the other thing is, like, we're actually both good at that, what we do. So I'm good at fixing things. I'm good at finding fault with things and
stay in your lane. That's what we're trying to say here.
Yeah. But like, and he's good at what he does. He is probably one of the best chefs I've ever seen. He's phenomenal. And so, if we weren't so well suited to those two roles, and if those two roles weren't so well required by the restaurant, I think it might have been harder. But we're also quite far off in age. He's 6 or 7 years older than me, and I should know that number exactly. But he's a little way older than me. And when when he was 17, I was 11, 10 years old. So he was leaving school as I was entering secondary school. He was leaving off to university. So like, we didn't really have much in common,
of course.
Like what the fun we used to have together was I'd have to stand in goal while he kicked balls at me.
Sounds like the classic brother.
Yeah, it was like I'd sit there and get beaten at video games, and that was our relationship. He was the older brother, but he was so much older than me that we wouldn't go out drinking together and stuff like that. It just isn't. That wasn't something we did. So it wasn't like we had some kind of, like, with the sisters, because all the other kids in the family are sisters, but the sisters that are closer in age to me, like, I have more in common with. I have more of a kind of, I spent more time with them as a kid. I was going to say more of a relationship.
What would you say are some of the biggest challenges? What was the biggest challenge that you kind of faced in sort of getting you to the point, where you are today? Would you say we've already covered that in, the challenge of just opening and learning on the job, or are there other things that kind of spring to mind?
I don't know. I think it is it's learning. Learning what you need to do, learning where the pitfalls are, and all that kind of stuff. They're actually, like day to day, it's hard work. It's a challenge. Day to day, running a restaurant is hard work. It's fantastic. Don't get me wrong. When someone turns around and says that's the best burger I've ever had, when an American turns around and that's an American comes in, they're like, that's the best burger I've ever had. And you're just like, come on, that's great, because they know burgers. They're American. But when someone says that, that's fantastic. And there are definitely high points, but day to day, it's hard work, and it's largely thankless task. Like everyone knows food. Not everyone can cook. Most people can cook. I've personally, I've been eating for 30 odd years. Like I know what I like to eat. I know what is good food and what is bad food and stuff. And so everyone's an expert, or at least would consider themselves to be an expert, and they know what they like. And if you don't kind of hit that mark, then it was wrong. The food was bad. The experience was bad. And so you get a lot more, it's a lot easier to get negative feedback running a restaurant than it is to get positive. And that can be hard to kind of face.
Especially in this day and age, right? I mean, that said, your reputation online is pretty impeccable, to be honest. So, I mean, tell me a little bit about that. I mean, how do you keep and maintain that reputation? And so obviously it's the food and the service, but what specifically kind of do you feel really sort of?
Honestly, it's the food. The food sells itself. Like it sells itself in that it looks good, it sounds good, it tastes good, it smells good, but it photographs well, and we don't shout about ourselves as much as we should. It's the old, there's a thing, it's if you're a hidden gem, it's because you're bad at advertising. You shouldn't be a hidden gem, you should be a gem.
Okay.
And we're a hidden gem because we are bad at advertising.
Well, we found it, so.
Yeah, a lot of people do, which is lovely. And I don't know how much of that is people just coming to Folkestone, because Folkestone is being pushed by people like Roger Dehaan. We get a lot of people from London coming down because it's easy access by train. But regardless of how the people are finding us, the people that find us are talking about us. And that's the food. And
that's the thing. You can do all the advertising you like, but if no one's talking about you, then that's a big problem.
There's no point in bothering. But I mean, I personally don't use social media, so I don't have a Facebook or anything. In fact, I had a Facebook, and this morning I got an email from Instagram saying someone in Indonesia had logged into my Instagram.
Right. Okay.
So I spent half an hour trying to find the password so I could delete my Instagram account. So it's like, I don't want it, and I don't want someone. Like, I think I had 6 photos on there, and one of them was my dog, one of them was a cat. Like, I didn't use it. I didn't use Instagram, so I deleted it. So I don't tend to use it, and I think you could probably pick out the times that I get into the Instagram account and start posting stuff. Like, it's just nonsense, man. It's just like, there's no pictures of food. It's just nonsense. And so it's actually Gaz who tends to take the photographs, think about what he wants to say, all that kind of stuff. He's the one that tends to do it, because previously when we started, because he was there, I was working as a web developer, so I wasn't there to take a photo of the food. I was the
logistically, it makes total sense, right? I mean, if he's pushing the food out of the kitchen,
exactly.
That's what's so great about this day and age, isn't it? You can't just literally take your phone out of your pocket, snap back in, carry on.
Yeah, no, exactly that. But I mean, you should see some of the photos he was taking originally. Like, I was working as a web developer, doing some design work and that kind of stuff. I have limited experience with photography, so I know, how to light something, how to position it correctly in the frame, all that kind of stuff. Gaz is a chef, like he went into design. I did art A level, Gaz didn't, so I had some kind of background in it. It was something I was interested in. He wasn't. He was into food. He was into being a chef. Like, that was his role. That was what he wanted to do from the off. And so why would he bother with photography? And so some of the pictures he was taking were just awful, and like, it's like, guys, you need to light that better. You can't have like a fryer in the background, because that creates loads of steam. That just looks terrible, man. It looks dirty because, you know, it's got all the steam and everything like that. It looks
right. Yeah. Okay.
it looks bad. It's a bad background.
So
And
some
now,
Instagram lessons were required, essentially.
yeah, and I mean, you can't just be like, Gaz, man, you can't take a photo. What are you playing at? You can't say something like that, because that's just going to upset it. Yeah, that's not nice. And actually, he was good. He was good. He was trying. You know, he was giving it a go. And so yeah, he was looking around on Instagram. He was looking at what other people were doing, and he's learned to do it. You know, so in the same way that I've learned to run a restaurant, you know, he already knew how to run a kitchen. He was good. He's learned how to advertise a restaurant. You know, he's learned how to handle the social media side of things. And he does a decent job. I mean, I'd say like 80% of what gets talked about us online is customers. You know, it's people who they're into the food, they're fans of the food, and they want to kind of share that. You know, it's not something that we don't have a strategy. We don't have it's luck more than anything else, I'd say. And that's kind of
and pretty good intuition as well. I mean, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely.
So we've talked an amazing amount about your story, and to be honest, we've answered a lot of the questions which I would usually have to interject and ask. You know, we talked about lessons, what the experience of starting up was like, you know, making these big decisions that really, you know, led to you getting to the position you are now. But I want to just go back a little bit and talk about the food, because it's something we haven't really covered in full yet. Obviously,
it's important. Yeah.
it's burgers. That's the thing. But tell us what. I mean, you've got an amazing menu. So you've got some really interesting stuff. I saw like a stuffed cheese burger with stuffed cheese in there, and there was peanut butter and raspberry jelly. Is it?
Yeah.
Jam or something like that. I saw as well. So you know, we had another burger restaurant on the show. Talking about peanut butter in a burger. So, what's your vote on it? Is it something you'd go for, or is it? I mean, because I've not tried it.
I have an order that I have every time. So if I'm eating at the restaurant, it's a juicy boy, no tomato, because tomatoes have no place being in a burger.
I disagree, but
yeah, I know I'm in the and all the burgers come with tomato, because you know you gotta accept when you're wrong. But yeah, juicy boy, medium rare, extra bacon, no tomato, with a garbage fries upgrade, because garbage fries are just incredible. They're just phenomenal. So they're fried onions, pulled pork, and then just covered with melted American cheese. Like, it's incredible.
Fair enough. Okay.
But my wife, whenever she goes to the restaurant, it's the Fat Elvis, which is the peanut butter and raspberry jelly.
Right.
You know, that's hers every time. And I've had everything on the menu. I've eaten all of them, because why wouldn't you? And it is good. Like, it's one of those things. Like, is it going to work? Is it going to work?
Yeah. Well, everyone I speak to who's had it is like, yes, it's amazing. I mean, I like chicken satay, so I mean that's I guess the only thing I can maybe compare it to.
Yeah.
I'm down. I'm definitely going to have to try this. Yeah.
Oh, you are. Like, it's good. It's really good. And I mean, it's out there. When people come in and they're like, "Oh, is that good?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's good. But what are you here for? Are you here for lunch, or are you here for an experience? Like, did you find us online and you're like, oh, I'm going to try that out. That looks incredible." Because if so, just do it. Because, you know, I mean, we have people come from quite far afield. We've got a couple. They haven't come recently because they had a kid, but they used to come down like every few weeks on a Friday night from South London to Folkestone. They drive down, have food, and they head back. You know, like, we have people come from quite far afield, and it's like, if you're coming quite a long way to try out this new place that you found, then you know, try the crazy thing, try the interesting thing.
And what is the most popular menu item on your
most popular, I would say, is probably the Fat Boy. I think people see it. They see it's all stacked up with pulled pork and cheddar and bacon and all that kind of stuff. They see it and they're like, "Yeah, I'm having that," because it's stacked.
I think I've seen a picture of that one. That was the one that I think I saw, and I was like, "Wow."
Yeah. I mean, that's one that took us to the Burger Awards in 2015, early 2015. So every year we enter the Burger Awards. We've been to the final twice. So we're looking to go again this year. We're actually deciding at the moment which burger to enter. We're not sure, because we entered the Fat Elvis a few years ago and we didn't make the cut. you know, it was a bit too out there for people.
Can you enter the same one every year, or do you have to come up with a new one? Or
I'm sure you could enter the same one every year, yeah, but we don't, because that's not like one. So the menu, if you're looking at the menu now, and I wrote it out on a sheet of paper, plain text, nothing interesting, it would look almost identical to the menu that we had when we first opened to pop up. You know, we've added a few things. We've added garbage fries. We've added garlic fries. But, you know, like obviously onion rings. In fact, no, we didn't offer onion rings as a pop-up because we didn't have enough frying space.
that's it, right?
But they were always going to be on the menu, weren't they? You know, onion rings, you can't not.
No, yeah, they are a bit of a classic.
Yeah, and ours they're good. I mean, everything we do is good, but, you know, it would be a shame if they weren't on the menu. There are things we've always done, like our coleslaw. That's our mum's. It's mummy's slaw on the thing. That's our mum's recipe. You know, that's how.
Yeah, it actually is, right. Okay.
That's how we got it. And people say, "Oh, is that your mum's recipe?" And every now and then they'll get me, rather than just kind of one of the other members of staff working in front of the house. And I'll be like, "Yeah, no, it is my mum's recipe. I'm the owner." And that's how she makes coleslaw. And so, yeah, there are some things we've done. There are some things we've added, like the lamb shank redemption. That was a special. The Fat Elvis was a special. And they were so popular, they just had to go on. Or
so you've kind of tested this menu as you've gone along a little bit.
Yeah.
As you played with it a bit.
And there are things that have come off. We had one. So when we opened up, so where we are in Folkestone is very vegetarian, vegan area. You know, like there are a lot of people who have that requirement, and we want everyone to be able to come and enjoy the food. You know, we want everyone to be able to come in. If you've got a group of 6 people and one of them's vegetarian, you can't miss out on those 5 other people because that one person can't come to your establishment. That's just bad business, you know. Outside of the fact
it's such, you know, I think that's an important point. You know, now as well, it's just the way that people's opinion. We talked about people wondering about the quality of their food, and you know, vegetarianism, veganism, all of these trends. They're you know, veganism perhaps not so long, but you know, most of these trends have, you know, been around, but they've really come into their own in the last sort of 10 years or so. And I think you see examples, I think now, of, you know, a lot of these bigger chains, bigger restaurants that you see close down. Maybe they're part of this 80% of restaurants fail stat, potentially. But the problem is that they don't adapt very well to a lot of these requirements of people, and they ignore them. Or you know, you've got maybe long established restaurants that are perhaps sitting on their laurels a little bit and bother listening to the marketplace. But you know, like you say, I think that's a really important point. I think for anyone, you know, who's in this position, especially if you are a small restaurant, you know, that is an advantage because you can adapt and change and take notice of things and add it to the menu or remove it. And I think that's an important sort of approach to take, is to pay attention to these things. And I think, you know, what up there is a pretty
definitely is. I mean, when I was before we started Big Boys a couple of years before, I was living with a chap that was a vegan, and I saw firsthand like how poorly catered to he was. You know, like I'd go out for meals and go out to the pub, whatever, wherever we went. There was maybe an item on the menu that he could change enough.
Yeah, right.
To be vegan, you know. And so from the off, I was like, we've got to have a veggie option, and that's got to then be able to be converted to vegan, because when you've got 8 items on a menu, you can't necessarily afford to have a veggie and a vegan. You know, so if you can make it so you can just change a couple of bits about and make it vegan. The other issue we've got is our buns at brioche, which obviously have dairy in them. So we provide a vegan bun. And then separately to that, we provide a gluten-free bun, because a gluten-free and a vegan bun, it's basically just going to be a rock. It's going to be horrible. And so, like, you can't have both too easily. So we make our own kind of vegan version of the buns. And so we can make any of the veggie options with a couple of things switched out. We actually have, I think we got like, I don't know, we got 10 or 11 burgers on, and you know, if we called it 12, 3 of them are vegetarian. You know, so a good quarter of the kind of main event of the menu is vegetarian.
You know, a lot of people are just, you know, even people that do, you know, regularly eat are now going for those.
Oh yeah,
for health reasons, just because they just want to eat less meat. You know.
Yeah. I've got a couple of friends that are just they just want to cut out a bit of meat. I mean, whatever the reason you're eating it. You had a guy that came in, he's like, no, I always have the Fat Boy. And I saw we're offering the Moving Mountains burger. So it's essentially the Ordinary Boy. So it's all the same stuff, but instead of meat, it's the Moving Mountains, which is, you know, one of these new meat-free burger patties, you know, plant-based burger patty. And he was like, you know, I just thought, you know what? I've seen it mentioned. I'm going to give it a go. And it was really good. And I was like, cool, thanks, mate. Like, good feedback. Happy with that. It was well presented. He liked it, all that kind of stuff. But he was someone that he had in no way had that dietary requirement outside of that. He saw it and fancied it. Yeah, cool. Like, if our veggie and vegan options are looking so good that someone who
that's a great
veggie or vegan is like, I'll give that a try. Like, you know, you can't ask for better than that. And I mean, it is a huge thing. You know, it's a big part of what people are after at the moment. And and it's something that again, it was important to us that everyone be welcome, not through, you know, what I said at the start, where it's like you can't miss out on those 5 other people. But that's just common sense. That's bad business to not cater to the market, what the market demands, you know. But outside of that, like, I lived with a guy that was vegan, and I saw that he was like, he wouldn't want to go out because he couldn't get good vegan food. Yeah, this is only 2011. You know, this isn't long ago, and this is, you know, so he couldn't get a decent vegan meal outside of a vegan restaurant. And yeah, not to say that there wasn't stuff about, but he couldn't find it, and so he wouldn't want to go out. I mean, when he had a takeaway, it would always be just like what he could select from a local Chinese that didn't have, and it was the weirdest meals. He'd eat like chips with just vegetable spring rolls and all this kind of stuff, and it was just these weird. It's like, that's not healthy, man. That can't taste good together. No. You know, so I don't want people to have to jump through hoops to be able to achieve what they need.
And this, you know, even whether it's you know, perhaps a chosen diet, some people, so many more allergies and things like that as well now. You know, that's another thing as well. You know, I suffer from allergies with wheat myself.
Right.
But you know, so I kind of know firsthand some of the issues around that. But I think it's just so important now to have the flexibility or the ability to be able to offer these options to people, because, you know, some people are allergic to nuts or allergic to, you know, wheat, or they're allergic to dairy, and there's so many different things. I guess you wouldn't recommend the peanut butter one to
no, I mean, well, that's the thing, you know, like when you're running a restaurant, you got to be on that kind of stuff, and so everyone gets asked, you know, come in, have you got any allergies? And that, in fact, you know, we've got a book with all the allergies listed out, everything in there. If someone's got a problem with the way the staff are presenting our potential allergens, they're all just told, just give them the book, you know. It's got all the information. We had a guy really sarcastic say, oh, don't you know? And the member of staff was like, no, I just don't want to kill you. Like, I don't want to be responsible. Here's the book. That's right. I'm not going to be wrong, because he had a pretty severe allergy, and she was like, I just don't want to risk it. And I'm like, great, that's perfect. That's just what I want. You know, I want you to make sure we're not killing people. Great. 100%.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you say about nut allergen, I had a lady order for her son a couple of years ago, and she ordered a gluten-free bun for him because he was celiac. And at that time, the buns we were using had seeds on top. And I offered the food to the kid, and she goes, oh, wait, those aren't nuts, are they? And I was like, no, they're seeds. Why? And she goes, well, he has a really severe nut allergy. I probably should have told you that. And I was like,
probably should have mentioned
like,
it.
You know, like, yeah, I've got peanut butter flying around the kitchen. Like, I've got nut allergy. You know, you can't. Yeah, but when you get someone that, like yourself, that has an allergen, and because you know, people have found it in the past. I mean, now with everyone trying gluten-free stuff, you know, everyone's just like,
that is the thing. You know,
I'm gonna be gluten-free for a couple of weeks.
What they don't know is then out the back you have to clear the kitchen down and do it. That's always one of the things that I always struggled with, because I can get away with eating a bit of bread. I don't feel great after it, but I've certainly full-blown celiac, and I feel so bad going into a restaurant going, oh, can you make that gluten-free? Because I used to have a catering company myself many years ago, and I know my experiences there, what that stuff used to be like. So you have to be so careful And as soon as someone says it, it's like they said the magic word. You're like, right. And I knew that it would just cause chaos in it. I always just, it's such a.
But I mean, on the flip side of that, you know, if you're not capable of doing it, you haven't prepared yourself enough. You haven't come up with a process by which that can be achieved. I mean, one thing that I had, it was a year or so ago. I was working a lunch shift. It was fairly quiet, and because we're a seaside town, so it dies off in the winter a bit, and you get these quiet Wednesdays where not a lot goes on, but you got to do your prep for the week, so you might as well open. And so we had this girl pop her head in the door, and she's like, "Do you do gluten-free? Like, can you do gluten-free buns?" "Yeah, that's fine, 100%. Like, come on in." And she just disappeared out, and I was like, oh, "Fine, just wants the information for later. You know, she might come down and make whatever it is." "Okay, cool, carry on." Polishing glasses or whatever I was doing. And about 20 minutes later, she came in with her mum and her sister. And between them, they had everything. They had every allergen, like, under the sun, man. It was unreal. I had a page on my pad for each of these women. And
yeah, right.
And they were like, "You sure you can do it?" Because they've known that people can't. You know, they were just happy. I was like, anything that I was like, there is something on this menu that we can provide you. None of you are allergic to meat. The worst case, I'll just bring you a bowl of beef. Like, like we can feed you. I am determined to feed you. Yes,
you'll find a way.
You know. And I said, you are going to have to wait about half an hour, because that's how long it's going to take to get the last of the lunch rush out, and then we're going to have to clean the kitchen down. So it might be a half-hour wait, you know, to get you fed. But if you're happy to hang around, then yeah, we can do this. And they were just happy to be catered to, you know, like they were just happy that someone was willing to try. And so so they ordered whatever they ordered. I can't remember what it was, but they had all these allergens and took it downstairs. So the way we have it is, when you put in an order, you have to leave a note with the burger that has the allergen, saying what the allergen is. You then have to go downstairs and say, this burger has this allergen on it. And it's saved in the system, so that if there's any issues, blame can be correctly assigned, I suppose.
Basically, yeah.
Like the girl last year, a couple of years ago, that died after a sandwich at prep. You know, and you got this kid that died after going to Byron. Like, I mean, I don't know about the rest of the kitchen staff, because I work in the kitchen now as well. I don't know about the rest of the kitchen staff, but if I kill someone, I don't want to go to prison for 10 years. And I'm not saying I'm a bad person, but I'm probably going to want to get out of that if possible. And I know that other people are. And so what I say to front of house staff is, like, you need to put that note on, because if the kitchen kills someone, like, they're going to try and blame you for that. So you need to make sure you're putting that on. So, like, everyone's aware that, like, this is important.
Yeah,
God said that someone might die, and it's true, someone might die. You know, like, you've got to be on it, because you don't know how bad the allergy is. So you can have someone come in to, like, I'll be gluten free. Yeah, you know, like, just. That's
what I mean. As soon as it's said, that is because you have to take every one of those requests seriously, don't you?
100%.
Even if they're like, no, it's not that bad, because then the next thing you know,
someone's dead. You know, some poor dude's lost his life because you didn't care enough. But we're set up for it. You know, we know that it's important, and we know that. But I mean, for me, it's like, it's not the not killing people thing. It's not the fact that it's good business to be able to provide. Like, it's actually seeing people who I know from experience find it difficult to find places that can cater to them. Sure. Who are just like, you can do it. Fantastic. I mean, the three women that came in together, they had every allergy under the sun. I even managed to make them a dairy-free strawberry milkshake, and they were just pumped. Like, they couldn't believe they, you know.
Yeah, and I think that's another great lesson there. It's great. It's, you know, the attention that you're paying to each and every single customer there. You know, your passion isn't just to please as many people as possible. It is to try and please every single person that walks through that door, no matter what they want out of the experience. You know, your job as a restaurant owner or as a business owner really is to make sure that they walk out of that restaurant happy. And, you know, that can sometimes be a bit of a pain.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, and yeah, you've obviously looked at our online, you know, presence. You know, you check our TripAdvisor. We've got some negative reviews on there. You know, like, some of them are.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's just a numbers game. But, you know, on the whole,
Some of them are well earned. You know, you don't get it right every time. Sometimes you massively fuck up. You need colossal mistakes, but you know, you can't. No one's perfect. Some of them aren't so well earned, and I'm a bit like, oh come on, man, that's not fair. But
you're
the draw, you know,
expensive. I guess that's always the thing to remember. But we're coming to like the end now. But one of the things I want to drill into finally really is habits. So what would you say that, you know, on a daily basis, either your own, or maybe it's habits that Gareth's got, or maybe you have as a team? What sort of daily, weekly habits do you have that you feel contributes to, you know, your sort of success, either personally or, you know, as a business?
So I mean, certainly in the beginning, you know, like Gaz's skill as a head chef, you know, Gaz's kind of his ability to properly prepare a kitchen for service. You know, when we were doing the pop-up, like there would just be zero waste. I don't know how he managed it, but there was
sort of efficient, making efficient, and
but in ways that, like, it's like he could see the future. Like, you'd have like 15 people walk in at the end of service. You'd be like, we clearly don't have 15 burgers left, but we'd have 15 burgers left. You know, dead on 15 burgers. It's unreal. Like he is. I mean, he's doing it for years.
Is that an attention to detail thing? Is that what you say?
Yeah, it's attention to detail. It's knowing his business. It's knowing what he does. You know, it's being good at his job. You know, that's what he does, and he does it so well that you know we've saved a lot of money through not wasting food. You know, which is huge. Right. You know, when you're starting out, and like I consider it quite an important thing that I didn't. Because when I was working full time as a developer, I wasn't getting paid by the restaurant. You know, Gaz wasn't getting paid a lot. We were like, this is going to work. We're going to do this. Mm-hmm. And part of that is like, well, I'm already earning a wage, so I don't need to take money. You know, you take what you need to pay your rent and that kind of stuff. The rest goes back in so that this thing survives. You know, and there are loads of stories of places going under and people being left waiting outside with no wages, no heads up that things are going under and stuff. So I don't want to do that to people. So like, we need to have money to pay the last month's wages. Whatever happens, there's always going to be the money in the bank. So if this thing goes tits up, everyone gets their money, because that's just polite. You know, that's just being a good person. That's like the bare. It's not even being a good person. It's like the bare minimum you can provide your fellow man, kind of thing. And so that's quite a big thing. But feeding into that is, you know, Gaz ran and continues to run a really tight ship. Like he doesn't like spending money, which is great, because I'm really bad at spending money. Like, I'm just like, hey, look at that. We could buy 3 of these. Like, and
burger machine.
All 3 of them are like pointless, you know. So when Gaz buys something, and even if I deem it pointless, like the other year he bought these burger lamps, and they're just awful, man. They're so tacky, but they, in a good way. Like they're good kind of tacky. And I'm like, all right, Gaz doesn't waste money. I know he really wanted these things. Like, I know they're important to him, so that's cool. You know, that's great. And I love it because he just loved these lamps so much. And the funniest thing, one of them, we were doing a pop-up elsewhere, and one of them got stolen by one of the regulars at the place we were doing a pop-up. And I was like, I want that lamp back. And they were like, you don't even like the lamp. I was like, I hate that lamp, but I want that lamp back, because that's my brother's lamp. He bought that lamp and he loves it, and I want that lamp back. So he got the lamp back off the sky. He'd only stolen it for a joke, kind of thing. But yeah, so he runs like he keeps things in line in that regard. And that, you know, when you're starting a business, like we started, like I say, on our initial investment was probably £400 odd, and that's just never going to happen again, you know, for anyone. You know, I don't know if anyone is ever going to achieve what we've achieved on an investment like that. You know, that's just luck. The stars aligned and things worked out for us.
But even so, I mean, at the same time, I think, you know, just going back to what we were saying at the beginning of the conversation, you know, you still gave it a shot, you know, and I think, you know, regardless of, maybe the cost to do things like pop-ups and whatnot now might be a bit more expensive, but again, you know, I think, you know, if you've got an idea, you've got something you want to try, I think it's so important. You know, that's something that's definitely struck me with this conversation. Is one of the things, you know, certainly with yourself, is you've just been prepared to just give it a go, and, you know, align yourselves to what's needed along the way, which is.
I think you have to be prepared to just do it. I think if you spoke to, 99 out of 100, not even restaurant owners, small business owners, that the story is, at some point I was like, I just had to do it. I just had to give it a go. I just had to take a punt. I had to try this. I had to try that. Whether it's by necessity, like I lost my job and I had to do this, or just by the virtue of the fact that they're the type of person that's like, just give it a shot. So what's going to happen? It's. I would say, the vast majority of them have a story like that. It's not just like, oh, I thought I'd do that. It is I just had to try it. I had to give it a go. And I mean,
the only thing they've all got, everything that they all have in common really is they took action on something.
Yeah.
I think, that could be a very
and that's a huge thing. And we continue to be people that give things a go and do things ourselves, setting up the restaurant, we couldn't afford to get someone in to build us a counter. We just did it ourselves, because you have to do that. We had a guy come in and help us with a bit of electrics because you're not allowed to do that yourself. You're not allowed to touch the electrics in a commercial property yourself like that. So we had to pay someone to come in to do that. But like outside of him, like everything else was us or family and friends, paint that wall, paint that door, get this done, clean that. When we first moved into the kitchen, Gaz had two friends from where he used to work, two chefs come in, and they spent 3 days cleaning the kitchen, like everything out, everything went over the fine tooth comb. Like that place is sparkling to this day, it's, you can't, you've got to just get in and do it. And I mean, when we do I want to do this little refit of the front of the house in January, I'm doing it myself. It's I want to build a bar out of steel, so I'm going to build a bar out of steel. I've got a couple of friends that are going to lend a hand. And
I love it. It's just, it's so clear that you're just a doer. Essentially, you just get these things done, right? I mean, what would sort of find? We're getting sort of like the end of the interview now, the end of our conversation. But what if you was to give one piece of advice to someone who's sitting there listening now, wants to start their own food business, be it a pop-up, or they've got an idea effectively and they want to get into the restaurant business and they want to get into the food business, what advice would you give to that person or to those people?
I mean, outside of don't is hard work. Outside of that,
you're not allowed to say that.
Blood, sweat and tears, man. Blood, sweat and tears. Just it's hard work. But I'd say think long and hard, because when you do something like this, I don't want to walk away from the restaurant, but I can't walk away from the restaurant. I can't just walk out. You can't just, once you start something like this, as soon as we went from being a pop-up, like the day we signed the lease and we're like, oh, we're doing a restaurant, oh, we have staff, oh, we have responsibilities towards it, you're locked in. That was it. And that was the point. That was my last chance to be like, actually, Gaz, you're a chef, I'm a web developer, I'm probably not the best person to help with this. I'm not gonna carry it on. Good luck, kind of thing. Outside of, that was my last chance. And I'd say think long and hard, because if it works, and it's a slim chance it's gonna work, it's gonna take a lot of you. It's gonna take a lot of your time, your life. You're gonna have wrinkles in your face that you can almost nail down to the day. Last week, our internet went down on a Friday night. It was a big event up in town. We knew we were going to be busy. It kicked off. It was busy. And I spent 6 hours during that day rigging up a 3G router so that we wouldn't have to worry about the phone lines going down again. Wow, it was stressful. I've taken a good week off my life. That last Friday cost me a good week of my lifespan. It was. But it's what you do, it's what you do. And if you do it, if you take the chance, it's hugely rewarding. And I'd say once you've thought about it and you're like, is this a good idea? All right, yes, I'm happy it's a good idea. Do people want this? Yes, people want this. I'd say the final question you ask is, what's the worst that can happen? Because if the worst that can happen is people don't like it and you have to try something else, then the worst that can happen, you can do it. And if I can do it, if I can start a restaurant and I can get a restaurant to the point where someone comes to me and they're like, hey, do you want to be on a podcast talking about how you run a restaurant? Then anyone can run a restaurant. Anyone can do it. Anyone can take a chance. They can learn.
Just make sure that on your opening day that you remember that the food's in the.
Oh, that was so bad. That was the worst. You know.
Great story, then.
Yeah, you know, it's a great lesson to learn. You know, and it's a lesson I learned the hard way. And we managed to save it, and it was all lovely, and everyone was happy at the end of it. But you know, that's one of the wrinkles in my face. That's one of those stressful things that you have, where you just got to work it out. You got to find a way of doing it, and
be prepared to
do it.
Learn them fast.
Yeah. Well, if you think you can do it, just do it. You know, just go for it, because there's a way of doing it. And I tell you what, as hard as it is, and as much as I joke about how awful it is running a restaurant, I say joke, it is hard work. Like, it's hardcore stuff. Like, I work for myself, and that's what I always wanted, and that's what I always wanted for Gaz. You know, that's why I did it, is because I could see Gaz needed to start working for himself, and now I work for myself. And there was when I was working as a web developer, the chap that owned the company, he was quite a wealthy guy, and he actually used to have a miniature, I don't know, he might still have it, a miniature E-Type Jaguar that he used to ride down to ride down to the bottom of his garden to his greenhouse in. And when I heard that story, I was like, that's great. I love that, man. That's fantastic. And then I was like, wait, I'm working hard for that dude to be able to buy an E-Type Jaguar. Like, at no point in my life is he going to come around and be like, hey, guy, you've worked really hard for me, man. It's a miniature E-Type Jaguar that you can drive around your garden. I want to be the guy driving the miniature E-Type Jaguar, and I'm only going to do that working for myself. And so, you know, you just take the chance, because the payoff is huge. You know, if you can do it, and you can be like, I work for myself now. You know, I am the person that makes the decisions. I'm the person that does X, Y, and Z. Like, X, Y, and Z are hard jobs to do, but you're the person that decides to get up and do them.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Go for it. And what's the worst that can happen? That's the question.
That's the great thing. I think that's a very important question to ask. I think a lot of the time, these risks that we call risks in our head, actually, you know, when we boil it down and ask, you know, what's not only the worst game, what's the most likely thing that's going to happen?
Yeah.
Often it's not that scary, and I think people are often afraid of things that maybe they shouldn't be, you know. And I think it's important to have that attitude.
I mean, it's
more about it. I think it's such an important thing to do.
There's definitely a certain level of confirmation bias here. Like, I'm a guy that succeeded at running restaurants.
Of course.
Yeah. And there's I can't remember who it is now. There's a quote from a comedian. It's like, you know, I work in showbiz. When someone like me or Taylor Swift says, oh, hey, like, just follow your dreams, you can do it. That's like a lottery winner saying, oh, the system works. Like, liquidate all your assets, buy lottery tickets. It's the great scheme. You know, like, they're the people that succeeded at it. But
hey, you're not going to succeed by not ever trying, are you? So
no, exactly. You know, you've got to be in it to win it and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, like, for me, it's easy to say here when I've got a restaurant that opens every day and functions. But like, the worst thing you can lose is money, right? Like, you invest however much you invest, and like I say, ours was a very small investment, and for that we are hugely lucky. But you know, like, you can lose that money, but you're not going to lose so much money that it's going to cost you everything. Like, prior to that point, unless you're one of these companies you see on Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares, where it's like, oh, we're 15 million in the red. It's like, how the, like, 15 million in burgers? Like, how many burgers did you buy just to throw away? Like, what are you doing with them? Like, you know, like, unless you're one of these people that just clearly has no business doing it, you know, you're going to spot a long way off when things aren't working. Like, we've taken things off the menu that didn't work. We had a veggie option called Hornblower, and it was just terrible. Like, it fell apart in the bun. People were like, it's all over my plate. And, you know, we took it off the menu, replaced it with something better. You know, you adapt, you make changes. You're going to spot that a long way off with luck, with hope. And yeah, I just say give it a go, just do it.
Awesome, man. Well, we're wrapping up now. It's been great chatting to you. So before we finally finish, tell us a little bit. I mean, what's next for the Big Boys brand? Is there anything we can look out for?
I mean, we were looking originally at like expanding to other places. We try and pop ups elsewhere. and we're actually happy in Folkestone. Like, we like where we are. I've just had a kid.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. He's 8 months old. And like, at the moment, life's good. Like, like I get time off when I need time off. There's me and Gaz. Both of us are good at what we're doing, and both of us are doing this one restaurant. And we could run another one. We could run 2 more, 3 more. We could probably stretch to 5 before things started like fires just erupting everywhere. Like Gaz and I are both pretty good at it, and we're both pretty hardworking guys, and we will do it when we need to get it done, kind of thing. And actually, at the moment, we don't need to get it done. Like, I'm happy in folks, and I'm happy with one. And
it seems like everyone's happy with you as well. So.
Yeah, exactly. And how far can we go before we push it that people aren't happy with us? So I think, we're going to carry on doing what we're doing. We're going to the Burger Awards this year with luck. We're entering, certainly. I don't know if we'll make it there. That's the Casual Dining magazine one. They're great fun every year. Like, every time we go, it's just fantastic. And last year we took all of our staff with us, everyone wearing a bright red Big Boys hoodie. We completely, like, the photos for the event, there isn't a single photo without one of us just in the background, just with the Big Boys logo on our chest, just like standing there. And I think they enjoyed us being there, and we enjoyed being there. And so I'd like to go back this year again, because it's nice to put the certificate on the wall. Like, we've never won. Like, we've come close, but we've never won. But it's nice to put the certificate on the wall. But it's like, that's why, that's the top level, isn't it? That's the National Burger Awards. We're the best people in Britain.
Hell yeah.
Batting out for the best burger. So we're going to do that. We're going to enter that every year we possibly can, until they tell us to stop coming. And we've got a little refit we're doing in January. We're just going to carry on doing what we do, really. It's working at the moment. And
then you're on all the social media channels, so your website. What's your website and social media? People find you.
It's a big question, that. As a web developer, I should be like, it's bigboysburgers.co.uk. We're on Instagram, Twitter. I don't even know if we use Twitter now.
We'll put the links in the show notes anyway. So.
Excellent, good. I can follow them and see what social media. But yeah, Gaz is the dude that does that. Like, he tweets. He likes doing that, actually. I think he tweets a lot of famous people for us. We've been on Reddit a couple of times. We like our funny A boards, and we've got our food challenge, which gets a lot of attention online and stuff. People will be able to find us. They'll root us out.
Google does a pretty good job of bringing you.
Easy. So I do know we've got a good rank on Google, because that's something I can do.
Well, I think, again, that probably comes back to your pretty faultless reputation as well. So, thanks so much it's been an awesome conversation.
Thank you.
Really interesting. We're in a bit longer than we usually do as well, but I think for our listeners, it's been thoroughly worth it. So,
good.
Thanks so much for your time. And we'll hope to see you again soon.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Cheers, man. Right, we're done. Thanks for listening to Bite Britain. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Bite Britain, and also subscribe to us and watch the video version of this interview on YouTube, so you can get updates on future releases and, more importantly, exclusive opportunities to win prizes from our awesome guests.